Hello and welcome. This is your usual teacher, the fat lizard of the desert, presenting to you, teaching you this history subject in Form 3. This time around, we're going to look at the Lomwe as we continue with the 19th and 20th centuries immigrants into Central Africa. Now, for the hour, we looked at each. We looked at a number of concepts. I hope you are enjoying it. But now let us continue with the Lomwe as other migrants into Central Africa. We look at the origins of the Lomwe. So the Lomwe came from northwest Mozambique at a place around Namuli Hill and upper Rugenda River. Rugenda River should not be strange to you. Even when you talk of the Lomwe, it is not a strange thing, because when we are talking of the Yao, we also mentioned to say that they ran away. Some of the groups of the Yao, they were running away from the Lomwe. But look at it now. The ones who were chasing others, they also migrated at some point in time. It's good to live good with people, to be at peace with people, because what happens to others can also happen to you at one point in time. Other theories, again, about the migration of the Lomwe, we have said first, it is said that they came from northwest Mozambique at a place around Namuri Hill in the upper Rugenda River. Other theories, or other historians, they claim that they lived at a place called Nguru on the eastern side of Lake Shirwa and Mulanje. So there are two traditions there, two schools of thought there to say, oh no, the Lomwe came from north part of Rugenda. Or others, they say, no, around Lake Chirwa, the other side of Lake Chirwa, where it is in Mozambique there. That's where they came from a place called Nguru. However, it has to be noted that they were neighbors of the Yao in Mozambique. Here, it has to be taken note to say they were living together with the Yao in Mozambique there. Now let us look at the migration of the Yao, of the Lomwe. So the Lomwe, after they migrated from Mozambique, you see Mozambique, as it was the same place with the Yao, they entered the areas, also the same areas where the Yao entered. So we talk of Mulanje, Palombe, we talk of Zomba, Chirazulu, and Cholo. All these areas, they are the areas where the Yao or the Lomwe settled. So the Lomwe, they came into Malawi in small family groups at different times, just as it was with the Yao. Remember the Yao? We said that they traveled or they came to Malawi following different leaders or in small groups. The same with the Lomwe, they came in very small family groups at different times. So they entered Malawi through the southern tip of Lake Malawi or Lake Chirwa and Mulanje Mountain. So they entered Malawi through the southern end of Lake Chirwa, no Lake Chirwa on the map there, and the Mulanje Mountain. So they entered there, that's where they entered into Malawi. So in southern Malawi, they settled first in Palombe and Mulanje. So as they entered Malawi, the Lomwe were first seen in Malawi to be settled in Palombe as well as Mulanje. Later, they spread to Cholo, Chirazulu, and some parts of Zomba. So we can see to it the oldest places where the Lomwe were seen in Malawi were Palombe as well as Mulanje. Later, it's when they spread to Cholo, Chirazulu, and some other parts of Zomba. So you have to see to it. When you talk of the Lomwe, you don't talk of Cholo, no. You talk of many other places. We talk of Chirazulu as well as Palombe and Mulanje. The Lomwe found the Yao and the Manganja in their new homeland. So when the Lomwe were coming here, they found the Yao already here, and also the Manganja were already the indigenous people. So they found them here in Malawi. Now, let us look at the reasons. Why did the Lomwe, why did they migrate from Mozambique to Malawi? Reasons for their migration. The first one is Portuguese oppression. So the Portuguese ill-treated, they were ill-treated, badly treated in Mozambique there. So the Portuguese were ill-treating the Lomwe. So these oppressions were in different forms. So they were ill-treated in different forms. How? Number one, there was that forced labor in plazas. The plazas are the plantations. It can be maize plantation, it can be a sisal plantation, and many other things that crops that were grown by the Portuguese there. So the Portuguese were forcing the Lomwe to work in their plantations, which were called the prazos. Also, another oppression was the use of shambo. We call it shambog, the whip, on people who resisted the instructions of the Portuguese there in Mozambique. And also another ill treatment was that ill treatment of the students who did not perform well in school, and they were using the same shambok to beat them, to say, you stubborn, slow to learn students, lie down here, let us whip you. So they were badly whipped. Then the parents, they said, no, our children are going to die, let us migrate, let alone the school of the Portuguese. We cannot withstand the beating of our students in these schools with this shambok. So they decided to run away from school because of the shambok. They were ill-treated. They were badly beaten in school because of poor performance. Also, forced recruitment into the army. So the Lomwe or the Portuguese were forcing the Lomwe to be recruited there into the army. Hence, they decided to run away, to migrate from Mozambique, coming to Malawi. Another reason for the migration was that they were brought as porters by the British. They were brought in as porters. Porters are helpers. The British, or those British that were coming here, you know, when the British were coming to Malawi, they were using that Zambezi. So the Zambezi, it goes through Mozambique there like that. So others, the Lomwe, they joined, they were taken as porters, the helpers, to assist the British as they were moving into Malawi. And also searching for employment in tea estates and railway construction in Nyasaland. So the Lomwe also came when they were looking for employment in the tea estates in the Shire Highlands there, as well as the railway construction under the British government of Nyasaland. And also ethnic wars among the Lomwe. There were also some civil wars there in Mozambique. Hence, other groups, they were running away to say, no, we can't withstand this. Let us move out. And it made those who were defeated to move to other places in search for peace and security. You know, when there is disturbance, nothing can go on well. Sometimes when there are pandemics, disturbances can come in the form of pandemics. There was corona sometime to say the corona issue, disturbing all things, economy not working, people not going to school, many things not going on well. So with that, then that is disturbance. So here we talk of ethnic wars that brought disturbance. Then others, those who were defeated, they decided to look for peace elsewhere. And political instability in Mozambique pushed the Lomwe into Malawi. There was also political instability in Mozambique there. As a country itself, politically, there was that instability. So many Lomwes, they fled the civil war and eventually settled in the Shire Highlands. So they were running away from the civil wars there in Mozambique. Then they settled in the Shire Highlands. And they were running away from the Arab slave traders who raided them. So the Lomwe also were running away from the Arab slave traders who were coming slowly to Africa to get slaves and sell them elsewhere. So with that then, they decided to run away to get out of reach of the Arabs. Now, let us also look at the factors that influenced their choice of settlement. Why did they choose to settle where they settled? We looked at this part when we are looking at the Yao. We also looked at this part to say, why did the Yao choose to settle where they settled? What about the Lomwe? Why did they choose to settle where they settled? Number one was the availability of employment opportunities in the Shire Highlands, especially in the tea estates and railway constructions that attracted them to settle in the Shire Highlands. So they were attracted by the availability of employment. So we're saying that in the Shire Highlands, there were two things. Number one, there was the construction of the railway line by the British colonial government. Number two, there was also the employment there in the tea estates in the Shire Highlands. Also, the Manganja were peaceful people so that they easily mixed or coexisted with the Lomwe. So the Manganja were very peaceful people. They loved peace. They welcomed the Lomwe to say, let us live together. Let us be here together. Let us live together. That is to coexist, is to live together. That is coexistence. You live together with the bearing the differences. Someone can be a Tumbuka, can be a Sena, and you decide to say, let us live together. And that is what is called civilization. Coming together, living together, although you are different, you speak different languages. Maybe you go to different churches, but you say, no, let us live together. So we are talking of the Manganja. They were peaceful people who loved living together with others. Hence, they accepted the Lomwe. And the Lomwe chose to live with the Manganja because they were peaceful people. And also the British colonial rule brought an era of peace and stability, meaning that the Shire Highlands was conducive to for settlement or to settlement. So we are saying that the British colonial government, it brought peace whereby no disturbance of the slavery. They were against slave trade. So with that then, it was a conducive environment to settle, to say, right, it is a good place to settle. So that's why the Lomwe came and settled, because there was an era of peace established by the British colonial government. They also chose areas with fertile soil so that they could continue to with their agricultural activities. So they were also farmers. They depended on agriculture for survival. As a result, they settled in places that were fertile for cultivation. Also, some settled in forests or areas closer to forests so that they could continue with their hunting activities. So others, they were hunters. So they settled in forests as well as near the forest so that they continue with their trade or activity, that is hunting. And also availability of large tracts of land in southern Malawi, which they found unoccupied. So there in southern Malawi, they found that most of the areas were not occupied. As a result, they were just settling where they wanted. They were not even asking to say, who is the owner of this land? Let us settle here. They could just come as a family group, settle here. This is our land. Now it will be our Lomwe land, like that. They were not asking or maybe buying the land just as we do now. No, they were just coming, settling, then it was their land. Now, let us also look at the groups of the Lomwe. The groups of the Lomwe. Who were these Lomwe that came to Malawi? So the term Lomwe refers to a type of soil, So the term is an umbrella term applying to various sub-ethnic groups of the Lomwe people. So it is just an umbrella of all different groups of that Lomwe who traveled. So Lomwe itself, it means the type of soil. So who are these groups? So the groups include the Kokola, there are also Marenje, Takwani, and there were also some minor groups which included the Manyawa, Maratha, Likuku, Nahito, Makua, Mihavani, Nyamwelo, Mihekeni, Malokotera. All these groups were there, the groups of the Lomwe. All of them, they were there. And Muhipiti, and also there were also the Meeto. All these were some of the groups of the Lomwe who were there. So the main ones were the Kokola, Marenje, and Takwani. But the minors were the Manyawa, Maratha, and all others. They belonged to the minor groups. So these names are taken either after the place of origin or the place of settlement. So they were given those names, or they took those names after the places of settlement or where they came from, that is in Mozambique. So for example, Makua means Dambo. Makua means Dambo. So the Makua, it means that they were the people who settled in the Dambo. And Mihavani means sand. Mihavani means sand. Maybe they're the people who settled in the sandy areas. And Likuku is a river in Mozambique. Therefore, this group came from Likuku. Likuku in Mozambique, a river there, a certain river. Marenje is taken after Marenje Hill near where they settled. So Marenje was a hill where they settled. Then they were called the Marenje Lomwe. So we have seen at the names. Those names, they were taken after different things. Now let us look at the socio-political organization of the Lomwe. Socio-political organization of the Lomwe. The Lomwe did not have a single political leader or a paramount chief. This should remind you also something of the Yao. We talked also of the same to say the Yao did also not have the paramount chief. This was because they did not enter Malawi at the same time. So they entered Malawi in several small groups, and also they came at different times. So because of that, they did not have a single leader to say, all right, this one is the big leader, the single leader who led all the people into Malawi. No, they were led by small family groups. About the Tumbuka, we talked about, remember, there were also clans who were here, the Luhanga, the Kumwenda, Mkandawire, there were clans who were already here. But they were united after the coming of Kakarala Msawira Gondwe. Remember those things. We said Gondwe now established that Nkamanga kingdom. Hence, he was a paramount leader like that. But for the Lomwe, it was difficult because they came in different family groups at different times. Small groups who were also independent. So later, they were organized under leaders who were either chiefs or village heads while in Mozambique. So here, when they came here, they were later united by the leaders who were also already village heads there in Mozambique to say, no, we have yes migrated, but should we not respect the elders? No, let us come together as one people who have originated from one place. Hence, those village headmen who were also village headmen in Mozambique, they became to be leaders of those different Lomwe groups. Like the Lomwe were matrilineal. They were matrilineal. What do we mean? It means that property and title passed on to the man's nephew, to say, my sister is the one to inherit. My sister's son is the one to inherit my title or my possession. So that is to say matrilineal. Also, upon marriage, the man went to live in the wife's village, that is Chikamwini. So when I get married, it means I go to where I am married. So it means my sister now is the owner of the village there, and the one who is marrying my sister is the one who is taking over charge there. That's why the nephew now becomes the owner of possession. Lomwe traditional dances include chopa, likwata, and jiri. So there are so many traditional dances, but the famous ones are chopa, likwata, and jiri. So these are the famous traditional dances of the Lomwe. What about the impact? What impact have the Lomwe had on the indigenous people? Positive ones. First, the local people adopted some aspects of Lomwe culture, such as dances, language, and customs. So the local people, they took some of the things that were done by the Lomwe, such as the dance, language, as well as the customs, some aspects of culture. Intermarriages between the Lomwe and the Manganja, it was also encouraged there. And political structure, the Manganja took up some aspects of Lomwe, that is strong clanship and family system. So we see to it that the Manganja, they were just living uncivilized, we can say so, life. So when the Lomwe came in, it was like they brought in some impact on the Manganja to say, we need to be in a group. We need to be strong enough and do our things together. So they copied the Manganja. And the negative impact of the Lomwe, they overshadowed weaker groups as they quickly set up their local political and social structures to maintain their authority. So when they came in, immediately they became the overall leaders of even the Manganja or the indigenous people. So as a result, the indigenous people lost that authority. Their settlement in the Shire Highlands caused overpopulation, and this compounded or worsened the land problem. Remember, the Ao came and settled in the same area. The Lomwe came and settled again in the same area. So as a result, there was that high population, overpopulation in that area, and therefore, where there is overpopulation, there are a lot of problems there. The problems there are just more diseases and the like, shortage of food and the like. The Lomwe displaced some sections of the Malawi, whom they found settled in the area they occupied. So they also displaced, the coming of the Lomwe displaced also some of the Maravi people. Those Maravi whom we mentioned earlier on, they were displaced by the Lomwe, the coming of the Lomwe. That is a negative impact there of the coming of the Lomwe. All in all, when they moved, still more they found somewhere to settle, but still more it had some negative impact because the Maravi, they were home and dry, and the coming of these strangers, then it brought in a negative impact onto them. Having looked at this, reaching this far, we have come to the end of this segment as well, whereby we're looking at the Lomwe, migration of the Lomwe into Malawi. We have also seen, just like the Ao, to say the Lomwe, they came from Mozambique, and we have seen that they migrated using small family groups. They traveled for different reasons. Coming to Malawi, they had the impact when they came here, and their political organization, we have seen to it that they are not really organized there because they did not come with single leader, hence they did not have the paramount chief. So we have looked at a number of aspects of the Lomwe, as well as the groups. We have looked at them, so many groups of the Lomwe. So having reached this far, we have come to the end of the Lomwe as the immigrants into Malawi. But next time, we are going to look at the Jere, or the Zwangendawa Ngoni. The Jere who were led by Zwangendawa. So these ones were the Jere Ngoni. So we're going to look at the Jere Ngoni, who were led by Zwangendaba. There were also the people who migrated into Central Africa. Where did they come from? I cannot know. Be there on the next topic, on the next lesson. Look out for this lesson as well, so that you see where the Jerengoni came from. Why did they migrate? Who led them? And what were the factors that forced them to migrate? Where did they settle? How did they travel? And many other aspects. We're going to look at that. So it's also another really good part of the immigrants into Central Africa. Until next time, I'm your usual teacher, the fat lizard of the desert. Watch out.